Kevin Blackstone, Israel Gutierrez, Woody Page, Ramona Shelburne. Shohei Ohtani is off the trade market. Are the Angels playing it right? Texas Houston makes the case for rivalry status. And did the Aaron Rodgers pay cut just pave the way for a new cook in the kitchen? Let's go. All right, national panel. There are only two things I can't stand in this world. People who are intolerant of other teams' cultures of physical play, and the Dutch's culture of physical play. So when Danielle Van de Donk, Krav Maga, her club teammate and good friend Lindsey Horan, and Horan channeled that into superhero mode, it was a highlight of this cup so far. Ali Wagner on the call said it literally 10 seconds before it happened. How do you respond? You get mad and you put it in the back of the net. And that's what Horan did. USA won, Netherlands won. Thrilling game. U.S. surviving that 1-0 deficit early, tying with Lavelle to Horan, and then those last 20 minutes, full-on assault on the goal, but nothing to show for it. It's a draw. Group stage still unsettled. Tuesday's game versus Portugal looming large. It's the debate of the day, and that debate is, does anybody know what reference I was doing to start the show? No, you don't know, Ramona, Woody.
Of course.
Israel, you got it. All right.
Of course.
Was last night's performance and result a sign the U.S. is closer to finding where they need to be, or not as close? Ramona Shelburne around the U.
Look, they took a shot and they came out with this draw. So to me, for them to be trailing, like you were watching this game, they're down 1-0, and they haven't trailed in a long time in any of these matches. So for them to come back here, and then for Horan to score that goal against her teammate after that play, I think as soon as they can take a punch, they're still learning. They only 9 of these players were on the team last time. They still really don't have a flow yet. They had no possessions. They had 10 or more passes. The Dutch had 13 of those, and so this is a team that's really still finding its flow. So to come out with a draw against a very good team, I think is a good sign.
Finding the flow. That's what Woody Page did today with the hair. You're going for it, Woody Page. I love the flow.
Yeah.
Are you as optimistic as Ramona?
Yes, I am. As she mentioned, 9 players returned from the World Cup final against the Netherlands in 2019. 14 new players. And they are sticking to their starting lineup. They only made one change, and that was Lavelle. And Lavelle made a real difference, but it looked like they got tired at the end. And I think they need to actually get more players involved, because as they go forward, if they're going to have a chance to win a third World Cup, they're going to have more contribution, particularly attackers. They spent too much time in the midfield. They were allowing Netherlands, after they got the lead, to continue to possess the ball and not get in trouble. And it looked like a stall tactic by the Dutch that didn't really work out, because they allowed Americans to come back in the second half and tie up the game. So a tie certainly beats losing a game, because they still have an opportunity, if they beat Portugal, to win the division, to have a better plot into the next round.
Kevin Blackstone, are you as optimistic as Ramona and Woody?
Well, I'm not. I'm a little bit more pessimistic. Look, this is the #1 team in the world. We know they are missing some players because of injuries. We know that they have younger players, but we also know they're more talented than everyone else. And we also learned last night that for the first time since 2011, they left a group stage match by dropping points. That's not a good situation. And now you can actually draw up a doomsday scenario based on what happens with Vietnam and Portugal, that they could actually be eliminated and not make it to the knockout round. So this is a little bit of a dangerous situation to be in. Are they better than everybody else? They still are. Are they going to beat Portugal on Tuesday? I assume that they will, but Portugal is the number 21 team in the world. They're not number 32 like Vietnam, and who knows what's going to happen with Vietnam going forward in the game that they have. So this is a little bit of a dicey situation, though I think they will come through it.
And Israel Gutierrez, optimistic, pessimistic?
Yeah, I'll stay on the positive side here, starting with Lindsey Horan. I mean, I don't know if she was already at legend status, but she sort of reached legend status after that because that was just gangster. The way and just the style of goal was amazing as well. A real physical header there. But I think because of the way they improved from first half to second half, because of the way they adjusted to sort of the midfield play, to more of the physical play, I thought that was a positive sign. I think Rose Lavelle is going to be a problem if she's not on the field. She needs to be out there. She's not quite fit enough, apparently, but you saw the difference in class when she was out there. And I think those three up front, Rodman and Morgan and Smith, probably need better services. They need more from Lavelle and their other midfielders there just to get involved a little bit more. Rodman was not great yesterday. I think those three aren't necessarily disappointing. They're just sort of finding their rhythm together, especially, and I think they eventually will. So if it was the other way around, if they had a strong first half and a poor second half, I'd be a little concerned, but given the order that it went, pretty confident.
Kevin, you brought up that they dropped points in the group stage, which is something they had never done before. Okay, that's what we're talking. I mean, you'll recall the last Cup. Argentina lost their first game of the World Cup, and we're able. Sure. There is the ability to build, and as Israel said, the way this team ended the second, you have to be a little bit happier about that. One more thing on Lindsey Horan, summoning the power. You saw how angry she was with Van de Dunk. Yeah. And I mentioned before, they're teammates and close friends. She cursed at her, wouldn't look at her, but we have photos of them together after the game. Check this out. It's all love. And that's the way really it should be. It's amazing, though, what you can do to motivate yourself. Lindsey Horan, Woody Page, the Golden Girl, right, Woody?
Tough hit.
She's from right outside where you are, Golden, Colorado. Yeah. Original Horan, Golden, Colorado, right? Isn't that where Coors is? We'll move on. Baseball trade deadline, T-minus 5 days. Tuesday, 6 p.m. deadline. The Angels, the will they, won't they of this trade deadline. We appear to have an answer. They traded for pitchers Lucas Giolito and Reynaldo Lopez. And they are showing a commitment to trying to win this season. And here's the headline. They will not be trading Shohei Ohtani. So here's the debate of the day, Kevin Blackistone. Are the Angels playing this right?
Absolutely, they're playing this right. I told you the other day that I didn't think that they were going to trade him because, hell, look, they held on to Mike Trout forever. So the headline really shouldn't be they're not going to trade him. The headline really should be that they are in this thing to win it. Because by not trading him, they've gone out and gotten Giolito. They've gone out and gotten Lopez. They've gone out to make a statement that they are going to make this wild card and get into the playoffs with the generational player that Ohtani is. Great for the fans. Great for baseball.
Israel Gutierrez, Angels playing this right?
Yeah, not too long ago, I gave the brilliant analysis that they should hang on to him and see what happens. And that's kind of what they're doing. Because if you have any sort of chance at keeping him for the long term, you have to look like an organization that wants to win, that attempts to win. And so it's not just good enough that you don't put him on the market, that you don't trade him. You do have to pick up some pitching in this case. That's what they needed. Pick up some pitching and look like you're trying to get there. You've won, 6 of 7. You've only 4 games back. You've got the time. You've got the momentum. This is the way to sort of get there, to use those last couple of months. And if they don't make it to the playoffs, can still potentially convince Shohei, look, we're trying, we were really close, we're moving forward, let's keep this going. And so, yeah, it's the way you have to do it if you're going to try in any way.
Woody Page, I see you laughing here. What do you got?
Israel was the only person in America who said, don't trade him. And you give him 18 points for that?
I thought it was a hot take.
Inspired. You mute me into hell. God, what you talking about? Let me give you some more expert analysis. They've got 12 series left against playoff contenders, so it's not going to be an easy road to get to the playoffs. However, Trout will be back within another 2 or 3 weeks. He's taking light hitting right now. That's going to make a difference. They have gone out and gotten the best pitcher on the market that was available for trade. And then they got a relief pitcher. So they've actually improved their pitching staff, which has been the worst part of that franchise all year long, except for injuries. So I think it makes sense. Marino, instead of saying he's going to sell the team, he's going to get rid of Ohtani, he's going to give it one more try. And if it doesn't work now, at the end of the season, you let Trout and Ohtani go somewhere else so that they actually can get in the playoffs.
And Ramona Shelburne.
Look, I mean, they should have traded him last year when the Nationals were moving Juan Soto, if they were going to get any kind of return. And so I think this is the right move here because you're not getting back the kind of prospects you should get for Shohei Ohtani. And then it becomes a question of what can I live with? If he leaves, do I feel better about having traded him and gotten some prospects, even some mid-tier prospects for him? Or do I feel better about trying go for it, see what happens? And I think this is what they can live with. I don't think Artie ever sells this team. There was a pressure on him to do so. I think there was a little bit of information that was maybe going to come out, and then there were some rulings that it wasn't going to come out. And so I think he doesn't feel any financial pressure there. This is just a stubborn owner who should have acted before. And in the NBA, we call this the Dame Lillard.
Whoa, watch yourself. I know you were away for a while. That is a banned phrase here. Yeah, we had to talk about it for 3 weeks in a row. I said it's a bad phrase if anybody brings that. All right, taking a break here. Coming up, my favorite story in the show. Sean Payton scorched earth over the Denver Broncos last year and who they're going to be this year. And he made one of the great analogies. They are the baby iguanas on the beach hatching and running away from the snakes. Who you got, iguanas or snakes? Buy or sell next. Have you guys seen that Planet Earth? It's the A meeting between Dalvin Cook and the New York Jets reported to be set for this weekend. Cook, one of the Pro Bowl running backs without a job right now. The Jets in a position previously unforeseen. More money than they thought because a player was willing to take a pay cut, gave money back. That player, Aaron Rodgers, clearing $35 million more for the team. Ramona, how do you think Packers fans took that news and buy or sell the position the Jets are now in and Dalvin Cook in there?
I mean, Aaron Rodgers really did a lot to get that $54 million a year. That was important to him to be the highest paid player. And then he just gave it back. You don't give that back unless you know you're getting a player for that money. He's not doing it to be nice.
So you think it's Dalvin Cook adding a Pro Bowl? The Jets with Dalvin Cook, are they emerging even more in your mind?
I mean, look, Breece Hall was a good player until he tore his ACL in Week 7 last year. But they had a bottom 5 offense last year, and Dalvin Cook would slot right in there and elevate
Woody
that
Page?
offense.
Packer fans, how do you like him now? After he would never make cuts when he was in Green Bay, and he's done it for the Jets, where he's going to be for maybe a couple of seasons. But I think the acquisition of Cooks is a great idea because they could keep him away from the Patriots, who we think are making sounds that they want to have him visit New England too. So I think this all around works for Aaron Rodgers. He's got plenty of money. For the Jets and for a running back who's trying to find a home.
It's for Gutierrez.
Yeah, this is why the Dolphins can't have nice things, apparently. Cook was reportedly tied to the Dolphins.
entire
and he
AFC
said
East
recently
was
that
in
there
play
was
for
no
him,
offer on the table. And now look at the other AFC East teams, like you're saying, going after him. I think it is enticing to play in his hometown of Miami, but it's also pretty enticing to play behind Aaron Rodgers. And I think if he's giving up money for you, that's a very good
Kevin
sign.
Blackstone.
What a great move if Dalvin Cook can decide on this one, going to the Jets. I mean, and what a great move for the Jets. What a great move for Aaron Rodgers. They'd be the talk of the town up there. And what a great move for running backs. Because here's a guy who's been a Pro Bowl the last 4 years. He'll get you 1,500 all-purpose yards anyway, right, coming out of the backfield, catching the ball or running with the ball. This is a guy that deserves to be paid, and I'm glad somebody's out there to pay
Or
him.
maybe, production aside, repetitions along with Hall, you keep them both fresh longer, and then you really got something.
Absolutely.
We'll move on. Woody, buy or sell 2 is your Broncos, and it's Sean Payton. Well, he's taking out everybody he can in this interview with Jared Bell, USA Today. Quote board me, Jeff. Quote, everything I heard about last season, we're doing the opposite. Quote, it might have been one of the worst coaching jobs in the history of the NFL. Quote, Baby iguanas hatch and pop their head out in the sand and got to get to the cliffs, and there are runner snakes all around. They got to get to the ground running. Let's hit the ground running. End quote. Yeah, love that. You guys seen that Planet Earth? Oh, David Attenborough. Peyton also said Russell Wilson has plenty of gas left in the tank. Last year, 20 dirty hands mucked him up. This year will be different. He'll be pissed off. And this year is a playoff team. The North American sports writer Woody Page. Buy or sell, Peyton? Buy or sell that this year's different for your Broncos?
I'm buying everything he's talking about. I want a iguana after what I heard him say. Well, in Colorado, we have the two most talked about coaches in football right now, prime time to sublime time. He was talking about the problems that the Broncos had. They paid him $18 million a year, and guess what? They're already getting returns from it, but the Jets aren't happy about it, particularly Nathaniel Hackett, who's the offensive coordinator there. They're going to come back for the 5th game. He'll be in town, and I don't think that he and Peyton are going to spend much time
Have you ever heard a coach speak about someone else in the profession like he just did? So, Woody, break it down for us specifically, things that they're doing different this year or things that they got away from last year.
I kept waiting for the ice cream truck to show up at practices last year. That's not happening this year. Much tougher practices.
Okay.
I think you've got a coach that knows what he's doing, unlike what they had with that staff last year. We've got a guy that's won the Super Bowl in Colorado rather than a guy that didn't know what he was doing, really. So what he said about Hackett was correct.
Israel, how'd you hear Sean Payton?
If you're going to rally the troops, Tony, this is the way to do it. You weren't terrible. Your coaches were terrible. All the instructors were terrible. You guys are great. And if he wants to do a heel turn and be a guy who talks smack about other coaches, okay, fine. If that's one way to bring the troops together on a team that was highly disappointing.
Okay, but do you believe Payton when he says, yeah, it wasn't Russell Wilson? He could just flip the script today by changing some of the things that the scheme was doing and some of the other things that were allowed. Do you believe that, Israel?
You watched some of the Denver football games last year, right? That didn't look like it was great coaching. It didn't look like it was great play calling. It didn't look like they were taking advantage of their skill sets whatsoever. So, yeah, I look at that and I say if I'm Sean Payton, an offensive genius, yeah, I can probably do way better than they did.
KB, how'd you hear Payton?
And that's the thing. He's an offensive genius. He can go in there and fix that. You cannot anticipate that Russell Wilson's going to have the season that Russell Wilson had again last year. They'll get this thing turned around. But I'm really fascinated, though, about the whole iguana and snake thing. I know where he's going there. Have you ever been mowing your lawn in this area and have baby bunnies pop up out of their little burrows that they make in your lawn? It scares the heck out of you. And they get out the way and you got to go running. And, oh, man, it's a
Scared
mess.
of bunnies?
And Ramona Shelburne. Just back on the Broncos. Do you hear a coach that believes this is a playoff team and they're going to turn it around just by flipping a switch?
So KB hears iguanas and gets sidetracked by this video and thinks about the bunnies. I heard the quote about parenting. I mean, because I have 2 kids now, and the one thing you learn, Sean Payton essentially said, that wasn't Russell Wilson's fault that they let him get away with everything. That was the parents' fault. And I'm like, ooh, there's one thing you don't do is criticize another parent's parenting, okay? So he crossed a little line here by criticizing another coach. That's, even if he's right, everybody knew it, but it's not like Nathaniel Hackett's sitting there getting other jobs right now. He's a coordinator now.
Okay, one word or fewer. Buy or sell it. Playoff team next year. Israel.
Sell.
Blackistone.
Bye.
Shelburne.
So
Page.
Yes.
You son of a gun. You, okay. You got your joke in, but you're not getting the showdown. Blackistone.
What? Oh.
Gutierrez, Shelburne, that's our showdown. You got 3 minutes between this and showdown. Go on Google, go to YouTube, look at Planet Earth, iguanas, and snakes. It'll be the best 3 minutes you spend. Texas, Houston last night with first place on the line was feisty and wild. Houston up 3-0 immediately with Bregman's tank, and then Alvarez was hit. So was it retaliation? When Simeon was hit later. He thought so. He said so. It's getting hot here. Texas then responded with a comeback, and Simeon later with a bomb, and then more shin music. And then when Garcia served salami on the train tracks and skipped it home after it was on and cleared. Benches cleared for a bit. In the end, Texas 13, Houston 5 to avoid the sweep. Hold on to first. Manager Bruce Bochy, who looks enormous right there, called it karma at its finest. What's the takeaway from all this? And do we have a rivalry now, Ramona?
You know, the Astros have been in the playoffs 7 of the last 8 years. The Rangers haven't made it since 2016. So that was a fun game, not a rivalry.
Israel Gutierrez?
Karma, was it not Haney that first hit a batter? I mean, he gave up a 3-run home run and then decided to hit a batter at an 0-2 count. That is not karma working. That's just good luck, okay? Simeon skipping home, totally fine with it.
I think he was also talking about they lost 1-run games the 2 games earlier. He came back and get a win. I'll split the point now. You got to have more for a rivalry. I know they're close in proximity, and in the past they had. You got to get some more games like this. This was great. We'll move on. Oh, this Lynx fan. Look at this Lynx fan here. Tell me if this Lynx fan has you ready to run through a wall, Israel.
I mean, they're in 7th place in the standings. It's a bit of a hairy situation if they're going to make the postseason, but I would stand right behind this man's broad shoulders and help him lead me to the playoffs.
Ramona Shelburne.
You'd stand behind that guy? I don't know. All I see when I look at him is how much preparation went into that. There's like a lot of accessorizing going on before he even got to the stadium. But Nafisa Collier's great.
Ramona Shelburne, take the FaceTime today.
Tone, I went to my first movie in about 3 years in an actual theater. I was so excited. Every single party at the bar next door was wearing pink for the Barbie movie. Me and my girlfriends went out. It's 100-something degrees here in Los Angeles. And the whole time I'm in the theater, there's just no air conditioning. Like my Oura Ring registered as a nap because it was so hot and sweaty and we're reclining. What is going on? That's like part of the joy of going to the theaters. If you want to get me back, like get the air conditioning working perfectly in every theater. Although Barbie was great. Go see it, wear hot pink, lean in, and take lots of photos afterwards.
I hate a hot theater, but that's not normal. You just had a bad run there. Although
No, everyone
I remember my
now.
sister and all of us playing with the dolls. Those Barbies melted in the sun too because they were rubber, right? So you were melted Barbie. That's what you were. We'll see you
Melted
tomorrow.
Barbie.